Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. While I was fighting for my life in the hospital, my boyfriend was on his way to find his first love. That night, he broke up with me and told me to forget about him. And you know what? When I finally recovered from the danger, I actually did forget all about him. Later on, when I was snuggling in his brother's arms, acting cute and playful, he went crazy begging me to come back to him. "Anna, I was wrong," he said to me, looking confused. "Do we know each other?" I wondered. My brother has two good buddies, Henry and Leo. Both of them are real lookers, especially Henry, with his good family background and great personality. He always attracts a lot of attention wherever he goes. He's like a central air conditioner, always gentle and charming to everyone. A typical playboy. However, with Henry, I always felt uneasy. Those peach blossom eyes of his, even when looking at our Teddy at home, seemed flirtatious. Unlike Leo, who is serious and doesn't talk much but somehow has a mysterious charm. Since childhood, I used to follow my brothers around, calling them brother. But as I grew older, I only chased after Leo, leaving my real brother behind. Leo was a man of few words, so every time we met, I would be the one doing all the talking. He would listen quietly, occasionally smiling, much better than Henry, who often teased me. The year we both got accepted into the same university as Leo, I gathered up my courage and confessed to him. He looked at me indifferently for a moment, and just when I was preparing myself for rejection, he suddenly held my hand and said, "Okay." I don't know if it was a misunderstanding, but I saw him glance behind me with his eyes, and when I turned around, there was a figure hurrying away. During our 6-month relationship, Leo and I rarely spent any time alone together. I was like a moth to a flame, passionate and fiery, while he remained indifferent. On my birthday that year, Leo accompanied me to a movie for the first time. It was a romantic film, and in the darkness, just as I reached out to hold his hand, his phone rang. Leo stepped out to take the call and never returned, just sending me a message saying there was an urgent matter at the college and he had to leave, asking me to go back to the dorm early. I held on to my phone and finished watching the movie by myself, but lately my eyes were bothering me. No matter how I wiped them, I couldn't see clearly. As the movie ended, I ran into Henry, who was surrounded by a crowd of people as he exited. Henry and I were from the same city but different schools, whereas my brother was even from a different city altogether. Upon seeing me, Henry quickly said his goodbyes to the others and then took me away. "Why are your eyes so red? Are they inflamed and uncomfortable? Should I take you to get some delicious food to make you feel better?" Henry took me to a childhood-themed restaurant, ordered a table full of food I loved, and even a birthday cake. He said it was on behalf of my brother, who was far away and had asked him to take care of me, but I knew it wasn't true because my brother had already transferred me some money that morning and said he would make it up to me when I got home. Actually, Henry remembered my birthday every year, and always found various reasons to give me gifts. But I also saw him giving gifts to other people, the packaging more elaborate than the ones he gave me. I didn't dare to get involved with such a playboy. That night, Henry drove me back to school. Before I entered the campus gate, he called out to me, "Anna, no matter what happens, I'll be there for you." I didn't understand what he meant until Leo told me a week later that it was over between us, and I realized that Henry knew all along. Leo said he had tried hard, but we were just not compatible. I was unwilling to accept it, tugging at his sleeve and asking if he had changed his mind. Leo said he never really liked me. It was just that my persistence had annoyed him. He said from childhood up until now, I had been like a shadow haunting his entire youth. Now he didn't want to deal with me anymore. He wanted to pursue the girls he liked and experience life without me. I never imagined that someone as gentle as him could utter such cruel words. I cried a lot, called him a scumbag, and blamed him for giving me false hope even though he didn't like me. Leo endured my scolding, only moving his lips slightly, saying sorry and then asking me to forget about him. Little did we know that night when I cried my way back to school, on the pedestrian crossing, a speeding car rushed towards me. I couldn't dodge it in time, feeling my body being thrown high up and crashing down heavily. When I woke up, it was already a month later. Besides my parents and brother, Henry was also by my side. I had a big scar on my forehead and some memories missing. I often joke that maybe my memories fell out along with the wound. Henry just laughed and said it might be a good thing as my brain wasn't that big anyways. Now there was some extra space to fit him. I ignored his teasing, but he was as attentive as my brother in taking care of me. Lately, I've been having nightmares again in which I'm walking on a dark road and the guy with me leaves me behind, ignoring my pleas not to abandon me. The nightmares have been taking a toll on me, and my brother, worried about my mental state, took me to his high school reunion party to cheer me up. But halfway through the banquet, an unexpected guest arrived, a very handsome man. Though good-looking, he was an unwanted guest since both my brother and Henry's expressions changed as soon as he entered. He had been staring at me all along, making my heart race with anxiety. Even the shrimp Henry fed me seemed distracting, and I even accidentally bit his finger. Unable to stand his gaze, I got up and headed to the bathroom. When I came back, I was shocked to see my brother and the new student fighting in the hallway. I rushed over to break it up, with Henry following closely behind. My brother shielded me with his body and said to Henry, "Take her away, Henry. Anna, I need to talk to you. It's about that person." But before he could finish, my brother punched the guy in the face and said, "Do I need to make myself any clearer? We're done, so don't let me see you again." The guy protested. "Mike, this is between Anna and me. Why can't I see her?" I was confused, and when I glanced at Henry, his usually light expression was replaced with seriousness. His clenched fists indicated his anger, and I thought if I hadn't been there, things would have gotten even more violent between him and my brother. "Anna, can you give me some time to talk to you?" Henry asked. My brother wanted to fight, but I held him back. I stepped forward and looked at the guy in front of me, asking, "Do you know me?" He seemed momentarily confused, but before he could respond, Henry pulled me away. I never saw that guy again after that day. Finally, I completed the process to return to studying, and I would be starting my freshman year again. My brother needed to focus on the family business, so the task of taking care of me fell solely on Henry. Despite my insistence that I could take care of myself, Henry insisted on taking care of me. One evening, Henry walked me to the dormitory building, and just as I was about to leave, he grabbed my wrist. Surprised, I looked at him and he looked back at me. After a moment of silence, he said, "Anna, will you be my girlfriend?" My heart skipped a beat. We had spent so much time together that pretending not to feel anything would be a lie. But before I could answer, Henry laughed and said, "Just kidding, don't feel pressured." I dared not. Henry was taken aback, probably expecting a different response. A breeze passed by, making my hair tickle my face. I took the opportunity to adjust my hair, pulling my hand away from Henry's grasp. Henry gazed at me with a serious look in his eyes, and it was the first time I had seen him like this. I would have a second surgery at the end of the year, and the doctor said I would remember things better after a good recovery. I wanted to say that when I fully recovered, I wanted to stand by his side as a normal person. But for some reason, I saw a hint of pain on Henry's face, even though he smiled and said, "All right, Anna, go back and rest. Don't overthink it." Back in the dorm, Henry's words echoed in my ears, and his face lingered in my mind. I shook my head to clear my thoughts, but he was still there. I received a friend request on my phone with the name Leo. That name sounded familiar from conversations between my brother and Henry. I approved the request and Leo quickly messaged, "Anna, I'm below your dorm building." I didn't know. Leo asked for a chance to explain the past, mentioning our history that I couldn't remember clearly. Taking courage, I went downstairs to meet Leo. He handed me a box saying, "Your favorite cake." Without taking it, I looked at him and said, "Just say what you need to say." Seeing the cake, Leo smiled bitterly and explained that he had been searching for me after returning to school, and only then found a way to contact me. He knew about my illness and leaving school, but he was unaware of my memory loss. Leo also apologized for the harsh words spoken when we broke up. His mention of a breakup confused me, as I couldn't recall ever being together with him. Leo looked at me in bewilderment, asking, "Anna, what's wrong? Are you still mad at me?" I averted my gaze, knowing Leo was a good friend of my brother and Henry. I had come across a photo of the three of them in a drawer when I was 13. Last year, I was in a car accident and had a head injury leading to memory loss. The cake slipped from Leo's hand suddenly. With a gust of wind, my hair uncovered a scar on my forehead. Leo was shocked, his shaking hand reaching out to touch the scar, asking if it hurt. I instinctively stepped back, causing him to freeze, his eyes filled with hurt. Unable to bear his gaze any longer, I felt a headache and heartache creeping up. Disregarding Leo, I turned and ran back to the dorm. Since that day, Leo came to the dorm building daily to see me, but I never met with him. On Friday night, Henry took me out for dinner as usual. At the dinner table, he focused on peeling shrimp and deboning fish for me. His black shirt was rolled up to his forearms, with 2 buttons undone on the collar, showcasing his pronounced Adam's apple and smooth neck. I swallowed a gulp of saliva. Henry looked up and fed me a piece of shrimp, then raised his eyebrows teasingly. "Do I look good?" I quickly lowered my head. How could he not look good? I heard he received dozens of love letters at school every day, but all he did was smilingly tell them that he already had someone in his heart and no room for anyone else. Feeling guilty, I dared not lift my head, but I could imagine his smug expression. Damn it, he's always known he's handsome since he was a kid. "Anna, I have to go on a business trip tomorrow," he said as he took off his greasy gloves and squeezed my chin with his long fingers. "What? Can't bear to see me go? If you kiss me, I won't go. How about it?" Before I could react, I rolled my eyes and continued to eat my meal with my head down. Henry would be away for 3 days, and it was the first time I felt an emptiness in my heart. I didn't go home over the weekend and stayed with my roommates in the dorm. One of my roommates jokingly asked why my handsome boyfriend hadn't shown up. She was referring to Henry. I laughed, saying he was busy on a business trip. After saying it, even I was surprised to realize that subconsciously I already considered Henry my boyfriend. Thinking back to when Henry asked me to be his girlfriend before I was probably willing, right? It's just that I couldn't get past that barrier in my heart. At night, I messaged Henry about what happened during the day. But even after I fell asleep, I didn't receive a reply. I had a restless night and dreamt of that person again. Startled awake, I instinctively wanted to talk to Henry. Opening our chat window, I saw his reply at 2 a.m, "Who's such a good talker? I'll treat them to dinner when I get back." Getting his reply finally calmed my heart, but I couldn't fall back asleep. I told him I had another nightmare and was sweating all over. Henry immediately replied, "I'm here. Don't be afraid. How about I tell you a story over voice chat?" I put on my earphones and Henry's deep voice resonated in my ears. Through the network, I could even feel his breath on my earlobes. I clenched the bedsheets tightly with both hands and unknowingly fell asleep. I didn't realize how tired I was, but Henry was still on the line when I woke up in the morning. Perhaps my movements had startled him, as his voice came through the earphones. "Awake." I was taken aback. "Did you not sleep all night?" "No, I woke up early," he said. Looking at the time, it was 6:30. "Anna, I'll be back tonight. Let's have dinner together." "Huh? Weren't you supposed to be away for 3 days?" I asked. "My work's done, so I can head back early," Henry replied. Just then, someone seemed to approach Henry as he said, "Henry, are you talking to your little girlfriend again?" Henry simply responded, "Yes, she's been upset about me being away." Did he just tacitly acknowledge it? I was stunned. Suddenly, Henry lowered his voice. "Anna, I miss you." Before I could respond, the phone went beep and shut down. Feeling lost in the dorm all day, I finally received a call from Henry at 5 p.m. He said my brother would also join us and would be at the school gate in half an hour. I changed into a rarely worn dress and put on some makeup. My roommate said I was already pretty, but this makeover took it to another level. I felt nervous, unsure why, but I felt like the voice chat last night had changed something in my relationship with Henry. "Anna, someone's looking for you downstairs," my roommate called out. My heart skipped a beat, and I grabbed my phone, rushing downstairs. As the door was closing, I heard my roommate joking, "It's a handsome guy." Not thinking much, I hurried downstairs only to find Leo waiting. He was in sportswear, looking sunny and enthusiastic. My smile froze on my face, not knowing what to say. But Leo didn't seem to notice the change in my expression. He smiled and said, "Anna, let's have dinner together tonight." I took a step back, informing him that I already had plans for dinner and couldn't join him. Leo persisted gently, "Just once tonight, it's me." Just then, a familiar voice called out my name. I turned and saw Henry, looking tired but still handsome. A sense of relief washed over me, and I ran to his side, naturally using a tissue to wipe my. Was there traffic on the way? Henry nodded and then glanced at Leo behind me. If you want to eat, we can all go together. No solo dinner with Anna. With that, Henry took my hand and led me towards the school gate. I suddenly remembered the group photo Henry had with everyone's birthdays written on the back. Today was Leo's birthday. That explained why both Henry and my brother were here. The three of us reached the school gate where my brother had arrived. Henry and I sat in the back and Leo sat in the front seat. I couldn't tell if the air conditioning was too strong, but I felt a chill, unsure whose touch was sending shivers down my spine. Glancing at the rearview mirror, I saw our eyes meet with Leo's, just like at that reunion. He always seemed to be looking at me. I felt uncomfortable and turned to look out the window. Suddenly, I felt a warm sensation at my knee. Startled, I turned and met Henry's captivating peach blossom eyes. His hand was on my knee, and we've known each other for years, but Henry had never crossed the line. Today felt different. My heart raced and my cheeks flushed as I shifted slightly away. But Henry leaned in closer, our bodies almost touching, and whispered softly in my ear, "Don't wear such short skirts next time." He then covered my legs with his jacket and continued in a low voice by my ear, "If you do wear them, just for me to see." I gave him a side eye and he smiled, looking incredibly charming. He turned back to sit properly, but his hand remained on my knee, tucked securely under his jacket. The scene was filled with ambiguity, as though nothing had happened, yet it seemed alluring and mysterious. It felt like something extraordinary had taken place beneath the clothes. "Mike, stop the car." Leo's voice broke the tension. My brother seemed to have anticipated something as he parked the car by the roadside. Leo got out and walked to the back seat, saying, "Henry, let's talk." I grabbed Henry, signaling him not to go, but he just smiled and ruffled my hair, saying, "It's a matter of time." After looking at my brother, he got out of the car. "Henry, wait for me." I worried and wanted to get out of the car with him, but the door clicked shut by my brother. We locked eyes through the rearview mirror, his anxiousness impossible to hide. "Anna, do you want to know about your past with Leo?" Half an hour later, my brother stepped on the gas pedal, leaving me still shocked. "Bro, Henry and the others haven't come back." My brother didn't say a word, showing no intention of stopping the car. "Mike." I grew anxious. My brother glanced at me and then parked the car by the roadside. "Anna, in that moment, who were you thinking of? Who were you worried about?" Honestly, I was thinking of Henry. He filled my mind. I was afraid he wouldn't find me when he got back, and I was afraid he'd get hurt in a conflict with Leo. But when my brother asked me, my thoughts got jumbled up again. He told me about my past with Leo, from the first time I met him. All those years I followed him until we broke up in the night of the accident. My brother said the accident was the fault of the drunk driver. Not Leo, but he hurt my feelings, and my brother couldn't forgive him. Despite wanting to bring Leo back from abroad to apologize to me when I was out of danger, my parents said everyone should be held accountable for their actions, and Leo couldn't have predicted this result. Especially after learning that I had forgotten Leo, everyone decided not to tell him. Forgetting him at my most vulnerable moment might have been a gift from heaven. Finally, I understood why there was the same picture in my brother's and Henry's study drawer, tucked away at the bottom, cherished but also seemingly not wanted to be seen again. At night, lying in bed unable to sleep, I kept checking my phone many times, but Henry hadn't messaged. I was so worried I couldn't bear it anymore and decided to call him. But before I could, Henry's call came through, saying he was waiting downstairs. Without hesitation, I ran downstairs, seeing Henry with a bruised lip and dirty clothes. He didn't explain anything, just handed me a bag saying dinner didn't work out, so he bought me seafood rice that I love. I felt like crying even more. Instead of taking the bag, I just stared at him. Finally, Henry couldn't take it anymore, put the bag aside and told me to eat and get some rest. He was so nonchalant I almost felt like nothing had happened earlier. As Henry turned to leave, I couldn't think. I stepped forward and hugged him. "Leo is just a blank memory in my mind. It's you now. Don't you want me either?" Somehow, Henry was moved by my words. I felt him shudder. Then he turned around and hugged me tightly. "Anna, I will never not want you in my life." I cried, tears and snot staining him. One thing I was sure of, The appearance of Leo accelerated my self-awareness. I held on to Henry, not letting him go, crying as I told him about the choice my brother forced me to make. I told him during the short car ride all I could think about was him. Henry held me tight, not saying anything as I poured my heart out, telling him how much I cared for him, how much I liked him. But for some reason, Henry remained silent. Finally, I got impatient, wiped my face on his shirt, then asked if he had changed his mind. Was there a pretty girl seducing him? Henry chuckled at my teasing, then kissed my lips. He said he agreed, even if it was just 2 months before my surgery. He wanted to be my true boyfriend. I saw Leo again a week later. My brother and Henry took me to the hospital for a checkup, and seeing Henry's bruised lip for days made me feel the urge to punch Leo. But when I saw his left arm slung in front of his chest, I thought better of it. None of us paid any attention to Leo, but after his arm examination, he silently followed us. I don't know if this situation happened before, but it felt familiar. Henry held my hand, showing me so much care. My brother rolled his eyes at me. Why not be his sister then? Henry kicked my brother, saying, I don't need a sister, I need a wife. My brother was about to retaliate, so I quickly stood in front of Henry. Really a handful, this sister raised by parents. With my parents busy with business, I mostly followed my brother around, but later Henry joined, and they said there was also Leo, but I don't remember. The checkup results were good. The doctor praised my recovery thanks to the care from my family. I leaned into Henry's embrace. My brother had a faraway school, so Henry spent the most time accompanying me. As I calculated, the doctor suggested moving the surgery up by a month for better recovery, including filling in that blank memory. My mood had been off since leaving the hospital, but Henry tried to cheer me up in every way. Yet I couldn't bring myself to smile. Bro, I don't want the surgery. 3 men were shocked by my words. Leo hadn't spoken, but his eyes carried sorrow as he looked at me. I avoided his gaze, then talked to my brother. No, this was Henry, and I looked at him. But I'm already fine now. Why surgery? Anna, I'll go along with anything but not this, he said. I was being stubborn, insisting on not wanting surgery. Anna, can you listen to me? Henry never raised his voice at me, but this was the first time. He regretted it as soon as the words came out and quickly softened his tone to soothe me. Anna, Before Henry could finish, I buried my face in his chest. Do you really want to let me go? I felt Henry's suppressed emotions. He held me, and after a while he said, I don't want to, but I can't bear to see you suffer. I froze and raised my head to look at him. He wiped my tears, then said he knew everything. He knew I couldn't sleep at night due to headaches and cried in silence, clutching the blanket to avoid family worries. He also knew I often woke up from nightmares at night, trying to remember that blank memory until my head felt like it would explode. I have a stubborn temper, often not wanting to show my weaknesses, so even if Henry knew, he wouldn't mention it. He just stayed in the small hall outside my room, keeping me company. And I, shedding tears inside the door day and night, he always sat outside guarding me. Just a doorway, I relied on him and he cared for me. Listening to our conversation, my brother had already turned away to wipe his tears, and Leo had red eyes. Looked at me and reached out as if to touch my head, but I dodged and hid in Henry's arms. I couldn't remember how I used to like Leo. I just knew that I felt most at ease in Henry's embrace. Finally, after persuasion from Henry, my brother, and Leo, I agreed to the surgery. A month later, since I started to feel better, Henry visited my house less often. My brother said he had started to focus on family business, and Henry joked that I ate so much he had to work hard to earn money to support me. It happened to be during the school break, so the next night I packed my suitcase and moved directly to Henry's house. Henry opened the door for me, having just taken a bath with a towel around his waist and nothing else on. Hold on, let me wipe my nosebleed. When he found out I was moving in, Henry was taken aback and swallowed a mouthful of toothpaste. Anna, have you talked to your parents and Mike about this? I nodded. Henry, now serious, made me nervous, so I quietly explained that since my parents needed to be available during my surgery, they were busy with overseas business matters. My brother was also busy with work in the country, so I said there was no one to take care of me and I could only stay with him. Henry sighed lightly, helped me settle in, and changed all the sheets in the master bedroom to new ones. I watched him busily from the side, feeling happy inside. My man is really handsome. Okay, you should rest first. I'll go make a call to Mike. After tidying up a few of his own clothes, Henry was about to leave, but I stopped him. Where are you going to sleep? In the guest room. Why? I thought he would understand my intention when I moved in, but now it seemed I wasn't clear enough. Henry, I am your girlfriend. I know. Then why would you sleep in the guest room? Do you think I'm not pretty enough? Or am I not attractive to you? I took a step forward. Henry stepped back. I took another step. He stepped back again. Henry. My pride was hurt, so I turned to leave. Henry grabbed me. Anna, if you don't like me, just tell me. I won't bother you. Even though I didn't remember Leo, according to my brother, back then it was me who pursued him. I clenched my fists tightly, afraid to think any further. Suddenly, I felt warmth on my back as Henry hugged me. Anna, I'm a man, a normal man. I was too angry to understand his meaning. Suddenly, Henry pulled me into his arms. I lost balance and hit his chest with my back. For the first time, I was so close to him. Feeling the warmth behind me, my mind went blank. Did you feel it? It's because you're too attractive to me. That's why I dared not. His voice was deep, and as he spoke, he bit my earlobe with his lips, making me shiver. Anna, when you recover from the surgery, if you still feel the same, shall we get engaged? He continued to hold me tightly, moving his lips to the side of my neck, kissing deeply. I knew he didn't want to hurt me, but he was also afraid I might change my mind after regaining my memories. Once I understood his intentions, I didn't dwell on it anymore. I turned around to respond to him and tried my best to show him how much I liked him. In the end, Henry still went to sleep in the guest room. But for some reason, I could hear the sound of running water from the adjoining bathroom for a long time. Finally, the day of the surgery arrived. Since I had to be admitted to the hospital earlier, I stayed at Henry's house for 10 days. At the hospital, my brother gave Henry several stern looks, and I wasn't happy about it, so I pulled Henry behind me. Henry had to reluctantly explain that he really hadn't done anything. My brother gave him a look as if he was trying to deceive a naive person. In the end, I had to step forward and explain, which made my brother finally warm up to Henry. On the day of the surgery, Leo showed up too, but he stayed behind in the crowd, afraid I would get angry if I saw him. I glanced at him and smiled. He looked pleasantly surprised and mouthed the words "good luck" to me. My family accompanied me to the doors of the operating room, my parents' eyes swollen from crying. I smiled and comforted them, saying that their daughter was blessed and would surely come out safely and healthy. I never expected it to be me having the surgery, lying on the hospital bed comforting my family. I guess I really am strong, right? But I was wrong. The moment Henry appeared in my sight, my eyes immediately welled up with tears. Henry smiled and kissed my forehead. Don't be afraid, I'm here. From childhood till now, hearing these words has always brought me peace of mind. Henry, go get an engagement ring and propose to me when I'm out, okay? Henry was stunned for a moment and then nodded. Okay, when you come out, we'll go and register. But Henry, who had always kept his word, broke his promise this time. The surgery went smoothly, and the doctor said I needed to stay in the hospital for another month for observation. As it turned out, Henry did not visit even once during that month. The doctors didn't allow me to use electronic devices, so I couldn't call him, and every time I asked my brother, he just said he was busy but would come over soon. I knew him well, and I couldn't understand what could make him so busy that he couldn't come to see me even once during my month in the hospital. On the other hand, Leo visited me every day. I watched him being so careful, and it made me feel uncomfortable. I remembered our past, but my heart still belonged to Henry. I tried to explain it to him, but Leo insisted on coming to take care of me every day. He said he missed me too much, so let him take care of me. I couldn't persuade him, so I let him stay, as he always came with my brother, which wasn't awkward. The night before I was discharged from the hospital, I had a deep conversation with Leo. I knew he was with me in the beginning to make his ex-girlfriend jealous, and it reminded me of his hurried figure leaving that night. I was just too fond of him at that time. Even though I knew the outcome, Leo seemed like he wanted to explain but just ended up saying sorry. I shook my head with a smile, telling him that he just didn't like me and the subsequent series of accidents shouldn't be blamed on him. Maybe I was too indifferent, but it was Leo who couldn't accept it. He said he would rather I scolded him or hit him. At least that would prove he was still in my heart. However, even after I regained my memories and could still be calm towards him, he finally knew I had completely let go. The little girl who had always clung to him since childhood eventually, as he wished, walked out of his life. But why does his heart ache so much? On the day of discharge, I could finally get my phone. I found out that Henry would send me long messages every day. Not like chatting, more like diary entries. He would tell me what he did that day and when he missed me. I counted it. Maybe he missed me once every hour. I couldn't help but ask my brother where he was. My brother sighed lightly, saying that there was a big problem in his family. Henry's uncle hired a hitman who almost killed Henry's father, causing his grandfather to have a heart attack and be hospitalized. Henry had to step up as the only pillar of the family, so he had to take care of the family while trying to save the company from losses. Originally, Henry didn't want my brother to tell me these things. He said he would explain everything to me when he sorted it all out. I couldn't listen to any more words at that moment. I just asked my brother to handle some of the hospital procedures for me, and planned to go find Henry alone. I ran out in a hurry, ending up bumping into someone as soon as I stepped out. The person's chest felt warm. I immediately hugged him tight. Henry had lost a lot of weight, with dark circles under his eyes, looking very weary. Thankfully, I hurried over just in time. He gently touched my face and asked if I was mad at him. He said he didn't have time to be by my side due to an emergency. He apologized to me in a cautious tone, but my heart ached. How did you find time to come? Isn't the family emergency keeping you busy? My brother came over and said actually he comes to see you every day, but always at midnight when you're asleep, and he doesn't want to disturb you. I looked at him feeling wronged and held on to him tightly, unwilling to let go. Leo also came over, patting Henry on the back, saying, "I've already sent the contract to your assistant and the new product launch is in your hands." Henry smiled and said thank you. Leo punched him lightly on the shoulder, saying, "Between brothers, there's no need to mention that." Later, I learned that Henry's father and grandfather were both hospitalized, and the family company almost went under in the hands of his uncle. Henry was overwhelmed, and it was Leo and my brother who helped him through the crisis. I remembered when the three of them were young and ambitious, dreaming of doing something big together. Now this dream had somewhat come true. 3 years later, I waited for Henry in a wedding dress, ready for him to marry me. The bridesmaids at the door didn't let Henry in, and I got anxious. I directly told my best friend that if she didn't open the door soon, I wouldn't introduce my brother to her. My best friend immediately wanted to hand me over to Henry. After many years, we had each found happiness except Leo, who was still single. At my daughter's first birthday party, I joked that I had a friend who had her eyes on Leo, but he just smiled and said he didn't want to think about romance for the time being. That night, Henry kept me up all night, and the sky was turning light as I pleaded with him to stop. I didn't know what had gotten into him. He was unusually relentless. I touched his face with both hands and asked, "Who upset you like this?" Henry gritted his teeth, and there was a thud on the bedside table. Why hasn't Leo found a girlfriend yet? I pretended to be sad. Honey, thinking about Leo at this time doesn't seem right, does it? Henry's eyes sparked. He's definitely still thinking about you for sure. I was speechless. This guy was great in every way except for being too jealous. Over the years, whether in business or brotherhood, they had kept things good. But when it came to me, Henry was like a big protective dog, growling at anyone who came close to me. Thinking about that, I went to kiss him with a smile. "You already have a daughter with me. Aren't you afraid I'll run away?" Henry's grip tightened. "Of course I am. No, you have to give me another one." Leo's epilogue. I lost a girl who had only had eyes and hearts for me since childhood. I still remember the first time I saw her on a beautiful evening. She was sitting in the hallway reading, and Henry introduced her as my sister. We were all young then, and she would sweetly call me Big Brother Leo. But I was aloof and didn't know how to communicate with girls, so I would just nod and walk away without saying anything. Henry, on the other hand, seemed to enjoy teasing Anna, always hiding her books or pulling her ponytail. Every time, he would bully her until she cried. I couldn't stand it, so I would shield Anna and ask Henry, "Is it fun to bully someone when you're 3 years older?" Henry raised his eyebrows, laughing mischievously. We spent a few years like that. On the day of the college entrance exam, Anna leaned over my desk and said, "Leo, how about I go to the same university as you in the future?" I hesitated, not knowing what to say. I wanted to say no because the school my crush attended was the same. But Henry, pulling Anna over to his side, said, "Take a good look at the school I'm applying to. Maybe you can consider going there too." Anna frowned and said, "No, why would I go to your school? To continue being bullied. Who will help me when Leo is not around? Leo can't help you forever. He'll also find a girlfriend and get married." That was the first time Henry didn't bully Anna, but she still had tears in her eyes. I knew what Anna meant. We were just too young, each with our own goals, never clearly stating our feelings, all bottling up our emotions. In the end, Anna still applied to the same university as me. She remained as warm and radiant as before, while I sank into extreme melancholy because I had broken up with my crush. I was busy preparing for postgraduate exams and couldn't celebrate her birthday. A wealthy man who wanted to sponsor her education abroad kept pursuing her, and eventually, she agreed out of anger with me. We had a serious argument that night, and Anna came to see me. Her big bright eyes finally revealed her feelings for me, and that she wanted to be with me. I didn't want to agree at first, but seeing my crush in the shadows made me angry, so I held Anna's hand. Anna was obedient, just like when we were kids, never bothering me but always taking care of my life. With familiarity, I sometimes think maybe this is fine, at least it's stable. Everything changed 6 months later. It was Anna's birthday and I canceled many plans to be with her, but I received a call from my crush while we were watching a movie. The man sponsoring her education had been caught by his wife, leaving her alone abroad and asking for my help. I had an opportunity to go abroad as well, so foolishly, a week later, I broke up with Anna and said some harsh words. I thought I didn't have any feelings for her, but as I sat in the car on the way to the airport, my chest felt heavy. Worried, I called Anna, but her phone was off. I called Henry and Mike, but they didn't answer. I was sure Anna must hate me. She was strong and proud, and she had said she wouldn't look back once we broke up, and that turned out to be true. She just disappeared from my world. Even Mike and Henry stopped answering my calls. It wasn't until I went abroad that I found out my crush wasn't as miserable as she made it sound. She just wanted me back. That was the first time I felt disgusted with her. And at the same time, I had a strong desire for Anna. I realized she had become a part of my life over the years. I wanted to go back to Anna, but I had signed a 1-year contract and couldn't leave easily. A year later, I was finally able to return home, but Anna's roommate told me she had fallen seriously ill and had to take a break from her studies. What kind of illness would require a break from studies? I contacted many classmates and finally found someone who was still in touch with Mike and Henry, who said they were planning a reunion and Mike might bring Anna. I was thrilled, my hands trembling outside the private room. However, Mike and Henry guarded her closely, and I didn't even have a chance to speak to her alone. Finally, I made an appointment with Anna, wanting to explain things to her and to ask her to come back. I promised myself that this time I would love and cherish her properly and not hurt her anymore. But to my surprise, Anna had lost her memory. Just like those nonsense things I said years ago, she really forgot about me. I was stunned, finally understanding why no one had answered my calls on the day I went abroad. Anna was in the hospital. She had amnesia and forgot about me, but she remembered Henry. She clung to him, and her coquettish behavior towards him reminded me of our past. I was furious and ended up fighting with Henry. I told him it wasn't fair that Anna had amnesia, and that she should be allowed to regain her memories, so we could compete fairly for her affections. But Henry, grabbing my collar, growled. Her pain, her tears, her life and death struggles. I was there for her. Now you come back wanting to take her away. What right do you have? That hit me hard. What right did I have? But I still held on to a glimmer of hope, waiting for Anna to remember me. However, I was wrong. Anna's surgery was successful, and she remembered me. But all she said was a distant, "Long time no see," before constantly asking where Henry was. In that moment, my heart felt like it was being torn apart. I often wondered, did she feel the same pain when we broke up? Anna said it wasn't my fault, that she didn't resent me. But I hoped she would, as if that would prove she still loved me. But in the end there was nothing. Years later Anna married Henry. I think if she had married me I would have loved her just as much. Sometimes I think Anna's heart is so cruel. She doesn't hate or blame me. She just lets me linger in her life. Isn't that the greatest punishment for me? I can't help but look at her, but every time I do, I see her looking at Henry with so much love. A look that was once directed at me, but now it's only in my dreams.